Okay, now that we've got our horizontal and vertical lines cut with the cold cut saw for our searing door on the firebox, we need to go ahead and cut our bands. I cut the vertical bands to length, actually about 3 inches longer than I need, because you'll get a little bit of waste using the roller. And then I use the roller to roll them to the exact radius. And as you can see there, that's pretty darn good. I had actually videoed doing this one, but the audio level was way too low, so I had to fix that. But we'll luckily we've got one more to make, so let's do that, and we will get our length. That one came out to be 28.5 inches. Let's cut that right quick. Now, this roller I built from some scrap pieces of 1/4 inch, and I just welded some little feet on it so that I can clamp it to the table. And it's just got a handle so that I can turn it. I will put a link in the video description on how to build this. I put some instructions together a couple years ago on building this. It's just 3 pieces of cold roll on shafts here. So 2 rollers here that are idler. They sit in the same position. Of course, there's adjustments. I can move them whichever way I want, but I generally keep them on these 2 inner holes right here. And then one is the drive roller here, which is controlled by just a jack screw, and it is indeed a jack screw. It's out of a car jack, and it even uses the thrust bearing from a car jack. That's why I use those. 2 reasons. One, that thrust bearing is the right configuration for what we want, and 2, a car jack has the square thread for the jack screw itself, which is a lot more durable than regular threaded rod. I wouldn't recommend using threaded rod, but this is hardened, a lot more hardened steel than you would get for thread and rod. Essentially, it's made for load, and it's perfect for what we want to do. So, long story short, I will put a link together on how to build this. Took me an afternoon to do it. It's really easier than it looks. And I fix it where the little handle just comes off so that I can store it easier. You can probably make one that looks a lot better than what I've made. As a matter of fact, there are guys out there that have used my instructions, and theirs came out looking better than mine. So we've got our piece, and essentially all we need to do is wind the jack out to where our piece will just barely go in, and line it up nice and straight, give it just a little bit of pressure, and then start rolling. Give it a little more pressure. And we'll pay attention to make sure that we don't roll past that roller there. It's not a big deal if it does, just feed it back through. A little more pressure. And it really goes pretty quick. One thing that you want to make sure is that your piece is running straight, and this one is. So we don't want to induce any twist into it, and if you let it run cocked, that's exactly what you'll do. You'll have kind of a corkscrew effect. And there's a good example of how it pops out, no big deal. Loosen the rollers, put it back in, go one turn to where I was, and then a little bit more for the next roll. And it looks like we're getting close. So we're going to pull it out and check it. It's not that big of a deal if we go just a little bit beyond our radius, a little bit too tight. Because we can slam it down on the table and push it out. I can tell that's not it yet, but we're getting there. That's pretty darn close. It's probably going to take about another roll, about one more roll. But we will fine tune it. All right, let's see how that looks. Not quite there yet. All right, so it's right here. We're going to come out one turn, get it back in, go back to our position, and then give it about that much more. And I may have gone too much. I feel I'm getting a good bite here, a lot of bend. So we'll see. Maybe not. Yeah. That's a little bit much. So I may have hit it one time too many. Nope. That is perfect. Look at that. That is nice. So let's look at the two of these. I don't know if you can see that. We're done with this, so I'll move it. I don't know if you could tell how precise those are, but they are exactly the same. Pretty nice. So, a couple of tips that I have found. One, using the cold cut saw certainly helps with door warp. I haven't had any door warping at all. Even on the big tanks that you would expect having some, they come out exactly right. These doors are just barely held in by the tiniest little piece in the corner. Once I weld these pieces on, which is what I will do next, they will come to about 1 inch. Of course, it'll get cut off right here. You lose about 3 inches right there that just doesn't go through the roller, right? So that's why they're a little bit too long. So it'll get cut off and then come to 1 inch below the cut. Because it's 2-inch band, the horizontal band will come all the way to the outside here. So I will go ahead and put 4 little stitch wells, probably 1-inch stitch wells, spaced out nice and evenly through here. Maybe just 3. I think I'll do just 3 on this short door. No, 4, because it's coming all the way to here. Anyway, I will get both of the verticals stitched in place and then put one small tack on the outside that will attach the door to the box itself, to the firebox itself on either side. Then I'll take a Sawzall, nib these corners. There's enough room to get a Sawzall in here. I'll nib those corners, and of course the door will still be attached to the firebox because of our 2 tacks on the outside. Then I can cut the tacks loose once I get the everything stitched up, and pull the door out after I put these bands on. So it's nothing to it. I have found that is probably the best way to go, at least that I have found so far.